And Jenks, I still can't get over my bad beat from last
Oh,
night. And I know we already talked about it at the top of the show, but God, I know bad beats are coming, and especially in baseball, where I'm going to have a whole book full of bad beats. But
hmm
last night was especially bad, or I should say yesterday afternoon, because it was a day game. Had the White Sox in the first five. They were up 4-0 in the fourth inning, gave up a sixth spot in the top of the fifth to the Dodgers. I lost my play. So, how do you feel about those type of things? Because I keep trying to mentally reassure myself that the pendulum's going to swing the other way. And
hmm
eventually, I'm going to win a bet that I'm not supposed to win. And I'll get lucky, and something like that will happen in my favor. Jenks, am I right here?
Well, you've noticed I put on my therapist glasses again. If you're watching us on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/BetQL. Chelsea, here's what I have to ask you. And this is a tough question to ask as a non certified therapist. You thought you had this one, and I believe you went to the pool, correct? Do you blame
Correct.
yourself for thinking, I got this, and I'm just going to go to the pool and not worry about it? Because as you know, when you assume you win a bet, that's generally when bad things happen.
I think the rules of betting are do not celebrate your bet like on paper. Don't celebrate it on social media. Do not say it out loud. Because if
hmm
you just think it, like you don't mush it. It's like during a no hitter. If you're thinking, oh, this pitcher has a no hitter going,
hmm
but you don't say it out loud, like it's not your fault if the no hitter loses. If you type it in on a tweet or something, if you send it out to the universe, that's when it's your fault. That's one of the unwritten rules of sports betting.
Chelsea, I'm going to give you a hard truth, which is my job and which is why you pay me an exorbitant amount for my advice. And I think you going to the pool and celebrating was sort of it was a very flippant way of you saying, I've got this. I'm going to go celebrate. I'm going to go enjoy myself. My bet's going to come home. I think you might have self-mushed here.
I don't think so. I think it was me thinking positively. And maybe that's where I went wrong. Maybe I should always expect the worst. And if something good happens, that's great. But that's how I should look at the world. Expect the worst and expect every game to not go in my favor. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, because I think this is more of your nature. You're not someone who needs to be in a good mood. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Hey, we're out of time. That'll be $425.
Oh, are you
Yes.
sure I can't pay you in, a gift card to 7-Eleven? Because you love hot dogs.
Oh, you know what? I take that back. Just get me 2 big bites and we'll call it square.
All right. Sounds good. And next time I'll be watching you eat hot dogs during our session. It'll be very
Okay.
therapeutic.
Yes, it will. You can believe things aren't so bad. Look at this loser.
All right. Let's get into some baseball. Speaking of hot dogs, what a great way to enjoy a baseball game. All right. So let's dive in and see what we got in the rotation today.
In the rotation.
Charge. All right, Jenks, let's start with the
All
Dodgers
right.
and the Giants. A good old fashioned rivalry in this one where the Dodgers are favored -145 on the money line, total 8.5 runs. Walker Buehler going for the Dodgers, 6-2 with a 3.84 ERA this season. Jacob Junis going for San Francisco, 3-1 with a 2.51 ERA. Walker Buehler over his last 5 starts, 2-1, but a 6.66 ERA in 24 and a third innings of work. Is that a sign from the devil or what?
We all know he loves Beelzebub. Big Satanist guy. Big Satan guy.
And now we're going to get sued by Walker
Yes.
Buehler.
Allegedly. There we go. Now I'm safe.
But yeah, like that's crazy that it's 666. So bottom line, Walker Buehler has not been nearly as sharp lately, without the Satan talk. Jacob Junis has been all right for the Giants. He hasn't gone deep in many games, has not pitched more than 6 innings in any of his starts this season, but he is coming off a good one against the Marlins, going 6 innings, only giving up 1 run and striking out 8. But it was against the Marlins, who strike out a ton and not really the most prolific offense. We saw the Dodgers bats coming to play yesterday in that game I was just referencing against the White Sox, where they score, 12 runs against the White Sox yesterday? So we know that their bats are nice and warm. Jenks, do you have a play here?
I was looking at this. I think what I'm going to do is, and I need to look at the lines at BetMGM because they don't have this particular lineup yet, but I'm looking at Giants' first 5 run line. You'll probably get a half a run. I think he can keep it close early. Walker Buehler is, as much as he has struggled, at times. He's fantastic on the road. That's the real sabotage factor. On the road this season, he's 4-0 with a 1.67 ERA. But Junis has been fantastic. He's only allowed 4 runs in his last 3 starts. He won't go long in this game, which is why I don't want a full game bet here. But I'm going to take Giants' first 5 run line, and I think that will probably be, I don't know, maybe a little plus money.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the over is worth a look because you just mentioned how dominant these two pitchers are. But looking at the Dodgers yesterday, they used a ton of pitchers. They had to use 6 relief pitchers because Tyler Anderson only went 3 innings. So if Walker Buehler doesn't go deep in this game, the Dodgers bullpen is kind of used up in this one. And I think the Dodgers can maybe get some runs. I know that's a square saying, but 8.5, I think, is gettable here. And the over is hit in 3 of the last 4 starts for Junis. And the over at home this season for San Francisco, 16-10-1. So I don't necessarily love a play in this one, but if I had a lean, it would probably be the over 8.5 runs. Let's head out to New York, where the Yankees are hosting the Cubs. Yankees, huge favorites at home here, minus 250. Over under 8.5. Luis Severino going for the pinstripes, 2.95 ERA and 4-1 against Wade Miley, who's 1-0 with a 3.38 ERA. The Yankees have been pretty hot, especially leading the home run, the majors in home runs with 87. So, Jenks, do you think the Yankee bats continue to roll here?
I do. God, such a square play. I think you have to take the Yankees on the run line. The last time out, Severino was just an absolute witch. He went 7 shutout innings against the Tigers, striking out 10. The Yankees are averaging more than 5 runs a game in their last 10. And the Cubs pitching staff has just been putrid recently. In their last 5 games, overall, the Cubs pitching staff has an ERA well over 6. Yankees are the best run line team in baseball. I get it's a square play, but I'd take Yankees run line at minus 120.
Yeah, that's the only play I see here.
It is.
And yes,
Yeah.
it seems very square. So I don't think I'm going to play it. But here's something you can kind of read into. The strikeout prop for Luis Severino is 6.5. That is very high. And it's also juiced to the over at minus 125, which is too much juice for me to take it. But that's saying that the books are expecting a lot of strikeouts here. And the Cubs strike out quite a bit. Severino is a pretty good strikeout pitcher. So I expect the Yankees to dominate the Cubs here, but yada, yada, yada. That's a pretty square play, but it's the only play here. Like, I just don't see Wade Miley going in and dominating the Yankees, especially at home when they hit all these home runs and they're playing at home.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's either Yankees run line or no play for me. I just can't make a case for the Cubs.
Right, and the Cubs have given up the 3rd most home runs of a pitching staff in all of baseball. So the numbers are not aligning well for Chicago. Let's move on to Minnesota, where the Twins and the Rays are squaring off. The Twins are short dogs at home, minus 105 on the money line, over under set at 8. Drew Rasmussen going for Tampa Bay, 5-2 with a 3.02 ERA against Devin Smeltzer, who's 2-0 with a 1.93 ERA. Jenks, is there a play you like here?
Yep, I'm on the under 8 runs, I think. Smeltzer has allowed 2 runs or less in his last 5 starts, and Rasmussen, as you mentioned, has been very good for Tampa. I just don't see a lot of runs being scored in this game, particularly when it comes to the Rays. They're just not a great hitting team. They're ranked 23rd overall in Major League Baseball. And if you look at the trends here, the under is hit in 8 of Tampa's last 11 games. So I think I'm going to go under 8 here.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk you off of that. I will say I think I would give a slight lean to maybe the Twins. I think they're not getting enough credit at home here. Devin Smeltzer has been really good this year, a guy that people probably didn't expect to be very good. But I think as short dogs here, the Twins maybe have a shot. Let's go on to Arizona and Philadelphia. We talked about this game a little bit with Joe G, as the Phillies are coming in hot. They've won 7 straight games since firing Joe Girardi. It's now Rob Thompson at the helm, and the Phillies bats continue to be red hot. It's Kyle Gibson going for the Phils here, 3-2 with a 4.40 ERA against Zach Gallen, 4-1, 2.40 ERA, and the Phillies minus 135, total 8.5. Jenks, who do you like?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play an alternate total. This is 8.5, but I'm going to play over 8 at minus 120 and take that half run off. I don't mind laying the juice. The Phillies have been just raking during this 7-game winning streak. And in 6 of Kyle Gibson's last 9 starts, there have been at least 8 runs scored. I know there's always the possibility of Zach Gallen coming out and pitching very well, but he's only going to go 5 or 6 innings, Chelsea. He will not pitch long into this game. And then he's going to give way to one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball. And this is what happened last night when the Phillies were taking on the Brewers. They said, we just need to chase Corbin Burns. And once we do that, we can take over. And that, I think we're going to see that same formula tonight. They will eventually get Zach Gallen out of the game. They will knock the cover off the ball against that really weak Diamondbacks bullpen. So give me over 8 runs, minus 120 at BetMGM.
I think if there's one thing you can count on is the Phillies hitting. I'm not sure if I trust their bullpen completely, and that's why I won't take them in the full game. But looking at a strikeout prop for Kyle Gibson, this number just posted over 4.5, juiced minus 118 to the over. I think he can get 5 strikeouts here because we've seen Kyle Gibson have some low strikeout games, but he also has had some really high numbers. And this is a great matchup here against the Diamondbacks, who are striking out 25% of the time against right-handed pitching. That's the 3rd worst mark in all of baseball. So Kyle Gibson has had some games in which he has put up big numbers in the strikeout category. Had 10 against Oakland, 6 against Miami, and 7 against San Diego, 8 against the Braves. So I think for me, looking at a strikeout prop for Kyle Gibson, over 4.5, it's a pretty low number. I think he can get this against a Diamondbacks lineup that strikes out a ton.
Okay. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. That's a good play. I don't want to make 2 plays in the same game. That makes me a little bit nervous, but yeah, I wouldn't take you off of that at all.
Right. So I think for me, that's where I'm going. Even though I wouldn't talk you off of the over, because like we said, the Phillies can absolutely rake. And we thought that maybe that Corbin Burns could slow him down, but he couldn't. So we'll see if that trend continues.